Friends, Namaskar. This is Rajesh Verma, Chartered Accountant. Welcome back to this YouTube channel of NGOGURU. Friends, our viewers have been requesting us to make some videos on a Startup India scheme or to give some information, some details regarding Startup India. So we have started a series of video, this being the first video on a Startup India scheme. In this video, we will talk about what are the eligibility criteria for being recognized as a startup. Friends, there is a misconception in the market that newly registered entities are called a startup. I told that is a misconception, that is wrong. A startup is not compulsorily a newly registered entity. Even an entity registered 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years back can be recognized as a startup. And a startup is not only entity. A Startup India is a scheme in which entities are recognized. So let us talk what this Startup India scheme is. A Startup India scheme is a flagship initiative of Government of India, and the purpose of this initiative is to catalyze a startup culture and entrepreneurship in India, mainly to build a strong and inclusive ecosystem for innovation and entrepreneurship in India. So, government has announced so many benefits for startup entities, like exemption from income tax for 3 years, discount in the fees of patent and trademark. So many funding schemes are there, like seed funding. So many funding schemes are there that I will talk in the next video of mine. In addition to this, there is mentorship assistance for startup entities. The point is to avail these benefits, an entity has to be recognized as a startup. So let me brief you about the criteria, the conditions for being recognized as a startup. Number one, an entity to be recognized as a startup, it must be a private limited company or a partnership firm registered or a limited liability partnership. Friends, a point to be noted here: proprietorship business or non-government organizations are not eligible to be recognized as a startup. Only private limited company or registered partnership firm or a limited liability partnership are recognized here. Number two, the second requirement is the age of company. The entity which is to be recognized as a startup must not be more than 10 years old. जो आपका entity है वो 10 साल से ज़्यादा पुराना नहीं होना चाहिए. From the date of incorporation, more than 10 years should not have been passed. Coming to third requirement is of turnover. The annual turnover of your entity since inception, जब से आपका entity बना है, रजिस्टर्ड हुआ है या इनकॉर्पोरेट हुआ है, तब से लेकर के किसी भी फाइनेंशियल ईयर में आपका जो एनुअल टर्नओवर है दैट शुड नॉट बी मोर देन 100 करोड़. क्योंकि अगर 100 करोड़ से ऊपर आपका टर्नओवर है, देन यू आर नॉट स्टार्टअप, देन यू आर एन एस्टेब्लिश्ड एंटिटी एंड सो रिकॉग्निशन विल नॉट बी ग्रांटेड टू यू. कमिंग टू द फोर्थ रिक्वायरमेंट, ओरिजिनल एंटिटी. The fourth requirement is your entity has to be original. What is meant by original? Friends, original here means जो आपका entity है वो किसी existing entity को split करके या reconstruct करके नहीं बना होना चाहिए. The entity must not have been formed by a splitting up or reconstruction of an existing entity. Now the fifth condition and the most important condition is innovation. This is the heart of a startup. Means an entity to be recognized as a startup, it must have some innovation or improvement or development of any products, processes or services. और अगर इनोवेशन नहीं भी है, कोई न्यू आइडिया बिल्कुल नहीं भी है, then also a startup recognition is possible. How? You have to establish that the business idea you have generated, your idea has a scalable business model. A scalable business model means the idea has potentiality of growing to a large business, and it has potentiality of employment generation and wealth generation. So if you satisfy these 5 conditions, then your entity can be recognized as a startup. So friends, that's it regarding the eligibility criteria for being recognized as a startup. In next video, I'll talk about what is the process of getting a startup registration or recognition, and then we'll talk about different schemes of fundings, the incentives given by different state governments to a startup, and other compliance requirement for a startup. Thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you friends. Thank you so much.